Tied. Oh, that color is gorgeous, friend.
Just bouncing off yours, man. Complimenting the butterfly as well. I love that.
Oh, yes, that's so true.
Yep.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Untied Talk, and you're listening to Tare.
And what's an eye?
And this week, we are talking about marriage and the roles in marriage, We decided to talk about this because we thought about what's expected culturally and, just from our own experiences, what we then kind of put into our marriages and the roles that we have. And, are there actually really roles? Well, this is me saying, are there actually really roles? And then also, it's a continuation from last week's episode on Lobola and the Rora process. So kind of like the next step. You're the two of you.
Now you're in the house.
Now you're together. You are
Who
starting
does
to
what?
do this thing. You're now building brick by brick. How does it work, right?
Yeah, I think it works differently for every couple.
Of course.
Every home has its own vibe, depending on your exposure, depending on your knowledge, and your preference. And expectation as well. Sometimes the way you show up in your marriage is based on what you want to set up, based on what you're expecting the other one to also maybe level up, or what you've been taught.
And then also what comes up then is, are these also spoken expectations or are they unspoken expectations? And, the impact of unspoken expectations.
Yes.
So for example, if you're one of those people that just expects your man to buy you flowers, but you've never said it to him, and he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to get disappointed.
Of
course, you're going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
And you're going to then start projecting these things to him, but he's got no idea that this is something that you're expecting, that you expected him to know it because he should know you.
And he's expecting you to be the one to serve him his tea at a certain time, and you be the one to do certain things.
Or you kneel all the way across the room with the dish.
So either because he saw his mom doing that, and that's the background he has, which built his beliefs, that then bring these expectations.
Yep.
And if he doesn't say it and doesn't see you coming with the tea, next thing, it'll come out one day in an argument. It always comes out at the end.
Yeah, it does.
It shouldn't, though. Ideally, it should come out from the beginning. I learned that, and I learned it after, though. Like, it would be good to just talk about your expectations before you get into marriage. These things that because you'll get shocked, my friend, when you see, okay, so guy actually expected me to be doing A, B, C, and this is not what I thought I saw in him when we were dating.
Yeah.
Because I'm so and I so if I'm say I only know what he tells me. But when it comes to the crunch, it's like, oh, okay, so now we're living together. Who's making the bed?
Anyway, are you washing his underwear? Things like that. Because this washing underwear thing, I must say, I don't judge. I don't judge anyone who does do it. Do you? It's your household. For me personally, before you met me, why and it? Saka, let's just carry on. I mean, I don't mind, but is he gonna wash mine?
I know.
Like,
I know
just, I mean,
I just think somehow they've not been taught to serve the woman in that way. And maybe they have reservations because of probably things like menstrual cycle and stuff like that. But I personally don't mind.
But surprisingly, that illustration, I used to have issues with that, right? I don't want to expose anyone. I used to have issues with that. And then I found out later that when the wife had a miscarriage and was stuck in bed, and when you have a miscarriage, you bleed continuously, the husband washed the underwear. And I was like, okay, that's balanced, because it's not like I'm going to wait for you to get better for you to then wash my underwear. No, it's balanced. Like, you're
cool.
not doing okay, so I'm going to take over and do this for you. So I think like that, at least for me, this is me.
I think it's cool.
It then makes it a little better.
It does. It does, but people also, it's like before you're married, you do things the way you do them. Now that you're married, it's like, "Nda baba vemba kana nda mai vemba," and now you suddenly change. Where now things that you start viewing things differently because of the new position you have in life.
Do people really
And addition.
change
Some
though?
people, yeah, some
Because
people, like, before you get married, you could actually be thinking, I mean, I don't think it's important to serve anybody. I don't think it's okay to serve another adult his food, a capable person. I don't think it's proper for me to go and wash another adult's hands. Like, you can just, if you were in the kitchen, go wash your hands and did it. Then now you're in the home and maybe you've cooked dinner and now it's like, oh, okay, let me serve. Like, that's an
okay,
example
that
of
kind
now,
of change.
Yes,
Okay.
that kind of change, which then brings about how life is done. Because now it's like, oh, okay, because one more and you want maybe to have a certain way of doing stuff.
I mean, I suppose if it's a choice that you want, then cool. Because
Yeah.
I know something that I was taught when I got married, and I think even before, one thing my mother always said to me was, whatever you see when you're dating, you should know that once you're married, it's going to be worse. So if you have any issues or qualms with the person when you're dating, or you notice little things that you're like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Just know it's going to be worse when you're married, because everyone stops trying when they're married because you're not trying to bag anything anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry for making it sound so crude.
No,
but
that's true.
it's basically
So it's
that.
the tip of the iceberg, what you see.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now after marriage, it's going to be 10 times worse. This is why there's always that advice. You're going to get to know the family, know who you're dealing with. Like, if you want to marry somebody, you should know them properly. So that whole concept, you should actually spend quite a lot of time with them
Together.
in different settings so that you see the person's character unfold.
Friends, it's not
All
always
those things. I know it's not always like
it
that.
won't always. You'll see stuff to a certain extent.
I guess, but like, you need to put yourself in a position where you get to see it fully.
Beforehand.
Right? Before. Like, expose yourself to, or ask questions. Like, when you have a conversation, how a person answers certain things tells you how they think.
Yeah.
So don't be scared to ask the difficult questions. I have this pack of cards which says 52 questions to ask before moving in or getting married. And it's broken down into relationships, finances, children, things like that. Like, and the questions are brutal, guy. Things like, if we're broke, where do we take the kids to school? Or if we're broke, who's going to do what? Or if one makes more money, how do you feel about that? If the other makes more money, how do you feel about that? Those are all questions you should ask well before. So that now when you're in it, because guys, when you're in it, it's now different, because now you can't go anywhere. You can't storm out and be like, now you have to stick it out.
Yeah. I like that. And it's amazing that you actually got to do that. We didn't ask each other these questions, but we dated for 5 years. So there was a lot of stuff that we got to know about each other, which helped us. And I know some people actually like date for like 1, 2, 3 months and they're like, I'm happy, I'm ready, and it works for them. And I wonder how they then break down roles and stuff like that.
But I think
that stuff is important.
It's literally in asking all these questions.
If they
so
do
I
that,
really
then
don't
that's good.
think dating for 10 years and dating for a few months is a true reflection of how you know your person.
Yeah.
Because people that date for 10 years might not even know
those things,
the person, because you're so comfortable.
Yeah.
You're used to your routine and what you're doing that you don't ask certain things, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's literally in the conversations that you have and the fights that you have, because a fight reveals a person's character, and it also reveals a person's mind and how the person behaves and thinks and whatever, and also the aftermath of a fight. If you continue to have the same fight over and over again, it means there's something wrong. You're both not learning from what it is that you're fighting about.
Yeah. So how do you establish roles? Can you establish the roles that you're gonna pick up before you get married, or is this something that now you're married and it's now like someone needs to make that bed, someone needs to do this? Who's going to be buying? Who's going to do the groceries?
I think it's things you talk about before. Because also, I forgot when I was saying the things I was taught. The other thing I learned from a friend, she said, don't set yourself up for failure. So do what you do normally. So for example, if you go to your in-laws, don't go and do 10 out of 50, like, or 50 out of 10, because you're like trying to be extra, because you're setting the foundation you're setting the expectations. You're telling them what you can do and what they should expect from you. So if you slack,
This is before you get married.
yeah, this is what she told me before I got married. To say,
in,
Kuti, when you go to your in-laws or
While
whatever,
married, they can-
yeah, while married,
Okay.
don't go and say, Kuti, kana usingamgena 5. Don't go and start waking up at 5 o'clock, going to see me and whatever. Because after 10, 15 years, that fervent energy would have dried out.
So it's the same for when you're married. Now,
Yes.
as soon as you get married, don't just
Like,
start from thing.
don't be extra. Do you, like, just...
Is it being extra or it's
No,
you
like,
bringing...
if you're doing things that you know you can't maintain,
Yeah.
you're being extra.
How do you know you can maintain it though? Because everybody gets into it with a level of excellence, right? And a level of love, the love that you have for a person, and you want to do so much for this person, and you're giving yourself to this person in all the 100% ways because you're still fresh and you're able to. So why withhold when you? It's not about. Well, I would say, is it actually an issue of you're setting a standard, or it's just you bringing all of you into?
I think it depends on the spirit
And
you're
then
doing
if
it
you
in
hold
then.
back, just to show what unless if it's things like cleaning and all. But I don't know. Okay,
I think it depends
get
on the
what you're
spirit
saying.
you're doing it in, because I kid you not, guys, you will burn out. So, for example, with us, I'm not like over the top when it comes to cooking. I'm not like, I cook and I'm good at cooking, but I never pretend at any point to be the baker, to have, a cake every week or whatever. I never did those things because that's not me, right? Whereas my husband, on the other hand, loves to cook. But he also didn't cook every day. He cooked when he wanted to, which is still what he does now, 5 years later. When he wants to, that's when he'll do it. I know, Guti, I can't go up to him and be like, oh, please, can you bake a cake today? Because I just really feel like cake, because it's not going to come. Because he only does it when he wants to. And he let me know that from the get-go. There was never a, baby, I'm going to make you cake. I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to do this all the time just to make me feel good. Okay. But he did it in a way that he knows, Guti, I'm going to be able to maintain this over the years. So there was never a point where I'm now disappointed, like, but you used to cook for me all the time. It never got to that stage.
But did you ever get to a stage where you were now expecting him to, but you cannot seriously be just wanting to cook when you want?
No, it's never gotten to that.
Never got to that.
Because I know my person. I know Guti Takamuti do this ajibudi, because he'll be like, no.
Really?
Like, when they just, with my person, I know, if you tell him to do something, you're telling me to do something without my spirit being in it. Like, he won't ever do anything to make you feel better. So another example to highlight that, when he met my dad the first time, he was wearing shorts and slippers. My dad was livid. Hey, just to impress me. It's the first time he's meeting me, blah, blah, blah. And his reason was, he should know who I am. He will never see me wearing my trousers, boots, whatever, because that's not me. This is me, right? Cool. What you see is what you get. So from the get-go, he's always been that person.
Okay.
Kuti, what you see is what you get. So at no point have I ever had the expectation, Kuti, maybe today I might just be lucky. He might just show me something different. Like, in terms of no, it's just what you see is what you get. So there's no now me putting things onto him that are going to then disappoint me, because I know Mun wangu.
Okay.
Which is what I think everyone should thrive for. Like, know your person. Don't even... Because you go out there in the streets and your friends will be like, hey, my dude does this. He buys me flowers. He does this. He does that. On birthdays, he does this. And then you now want to come and bring those things into your home. But you know your person. Is your person going to do those things? Like, let's not put things on our person that we know it's just too much for them.
Right.
I
How
guess.
about stuff like, since we're talking about roles, because that is optional stuff. Buying flowers, that's just now the extra affectionate stuff that someone does. But in terms of roles and responsibility, stuff which you don't get to be in your feeling about because it needs to be done, those are the things that, for us, it's like, if you're an adult, whether it's like we all have days when you don't want to get out of bed. I have days when I don't want to cook, and this is now stuff that does it not then now bring pressure. I know you have like a helper and everything. Isn't this the stuff that culture has just taught that just then this whole zivamun wako just makes it okay for someone to not make an effort to also pick up certain roles in a marriage? Like for example, for us, like I know Wadi, with the kids that we've had kids in a row. So there's diapers, there's everything. He changes diapers. He's been in it as a father, and it's a role he assumed, whether he feels like it or not. He is the one who gets up in the night, like whenever the kids and whatever. And that's just an example. The cooking thing, he also he's loved cooking just from the onset. Then there's certain things that I know he's just said, you know what, Nini, I'm not like this, I'm not like that. But if it needs to be done, or like if I'm not well and stuff like that, he will think. And then it's like, and if there's times when I'm also like expecting to say, okay, so I need help with this thing because auntie were helping, but I need to go just because those are ndiri. And I've also had to, there's things that even when it comes to serving, I have a limit because acts of service is my last unwanted love language. So there's stuff that I'm not going to be wanting to do because those are needy. And at first I used to do that no, you know that I'm not going to be like doing this and that and this and that. But then there's times when the situation requires, and with the evolving and growth of the marriage, where now pane vana or pane this and this is that, and they're now just then assuming a role. So I wonder if I wonder how other people also manage the whole thing of, because roles, they interchange the same way like men had the position of provider in the home. Now the roles interchange as things go, and so there's no one set thing in our culture with the current generation. There's no one set thing.
There's still some.
There's some for it depends on you and your
No,
guy.
as in, yeah, that's what I mean.
Like it depends. And then it also depends what would be okay and stuff like that. But what I love is the whole guy is also now not totally making it about the woman is the one who has to die in the kitchen, who has to die with the baby. And kudara, it's the women.
That was what it was.
It's the women who would go kumunda kabereka mwana achitimba garden and stuff. And all the harvesting and all that stuff. Now the guys are hands-on as well.
True. But my question is, so for the things that you didn't want to do, and did you had a conversation about it with Isha, but because you grew in affection and love, you started doing these things. It was never necessarily a good you must do this, you must do that because you are the woman. And that's what I mean.
And then there's some things that somebody has to do it. Who's
True.
gonna do it? And I'm feeling in love, I'm doing this for you because of affection. Some things are just, I have to, someone's got to do it.
True.
Like I remember when we had no helper, the house has to be clean.
True.
Somebody's got to do it. And it's like, I don't feel like it. It's not like that, I love you so much. I want to be washing and washing and washing. But somebody's got to do it. And when he did laundry, somebody's got to do it. If I'm doing something and you split. So that's what I meant.
Yeah.
There are times when it's like, someone's got to do it. And we cannot be like, relying on am I feeling like it or not, or no, this is how I am.
But
so
this is when you
see
Kuti, the whole concept of roles doesn't necessarily apply from what we are saying in our marriages, because we will do it together. We will split. So for example, that Christmas holiday break, there was a point where he was like, can we just use paper plates? Because I know it would mean, because he doesn't like doing dishes.
Washing and stuff, yeah.
I love doing dishes, but he knows if I'm doing dishes, he has to pick up the slack with everything else, right? So it's like, to just help us. I'm helping you, but I'm also helping me because I know I don't like doing certain things, right? But that's what I mean, because there are no specified roles. In a marriage where there are roles, it would be, you are the children, you are the dishes, you are the cleaning, you are this. Inini, maybe. If I'm helping you, I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing you a service. And it shouldn't be like that.
Actually still do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
but
and it shouldn't be like
they would have probably
that.
seen that from the beginning, auntie, while still dating. Could this person...
They could have.
like
They
this,
probably
and they
saw
still
it
made the
before
choice
and
to-
hoped that it would change, maybe, or they never talked about it, or it's just something that, like you said, we pick up from our parents. If our parents are like that, then we are going to be like that. I remember there would be so many times when my father-in-law would come and my husband would be like, would you like a cup of tea? And my father-in-law would be like, that's not your role. Your wife should be asking me that, not you. And he's like, do you want tea or not? Because it doesn't matter who's going to get up and make the tea, This is also my house. I can make you a cup of tea if I want to, type of thing. But it shows the differences in our generations and the expectations that are there, as well as the character of the person. Because ari umwe, I gonna utongoti, yeah, ndwe ndaunobi.
Nekuti pane
Nekuti baba vapo saka zvese zvandosiita zviya zvaka anditi. Right now you are the woman, you do zvese, type of thing.
Yeah.
It happens.
At the end of the day, some women actually want that and they actually support that, and that's what they also teach and then expect when they visit.
And I'm not that
so
woman.
I'm also not that woman.
I can't. We have to balance it out. Let's help each other.
I'm also not that woman, and I thank God that I'm married to a reasonable adult, a very responsible one who I would be lying, because some of it
sometimes I think so, and because you can see Munu is overwhelmed and stressed and tired. The least you can do, you don't have to do it every day, just once in a while. You know what, sit down, let me cook today, or sit
season.
down, I'll buy takeout, or I don't know, or we'll do leftovers if you can't cook. Try, Sha.
Go with the season. If it's baby season, you cannot surely be expecting her to assume the same role she was.
Especially if you expect your wife to work.
Got married, and she's working also. Even if she's not working, even if the kids are her work and stuff. The point is, roles, I think
they should be fluid.
Changing. We should be flexible, because we will not always be in the same space we were at. No. Even in terms of pekugara table, stuff like that. Things change. And when it's your school season, and I've seen some where, like, if the provider is pushing school, then now it falls on the other one and stuff like that. Or if it's things like traveling, then who's going to be, if everything that he does, kana asipo, and like my husband travels a lot, so what? He's just going to find everything piled up waiting. Is that clever? Some of the stuff is like, okay, you just go with what's there.
Yeah.
So we don't have set rules as such. Like, this is your role. Do you want to know what is ambeda? Do you want to forget?
I know, right?
You get out of the car and open. And not to laugh or mock those that do. I guess it brings a certain type of order.
I just thought about it. Sorry,
planning.
I'm not laughing or mocking. I'm
it's
laughing because
okay.
I pictured me sitting down and saying, like if he's doing something and saying, "Pane mota baguette." I'm not going because they don't know what I get.
You're the gay guy. Yeah. There's certain stuff though that comes with being a woman and being a guy, like handiwork, where I know how to change a plug, I know how to change a bulb and stuff, but when there's an immediate need for a bulb, I think he's just gonna immediately do it because it's a guy thing, Mumba, when it comes to certain stuff, home management and like helping managing the helper and stuff, it's automatically gonna be my thing. So there's just stuff that comes with your gender, which I don't go because, or if it's like, I know we can do gardening as well, but then there can be other stuff that the heavy stuff that a guy will do, which I know some women also do, and I guess it's okay to assume that role.
I think for
choice.
me, the issue comes when it's an expectation.
When it's an expectation.
So, for example, ndaswera kubasa ndadzoka kumba ndonzi saka mama tandaka kumirirai because tikuda kunzwa kuti toita sei nhasi asi pane vanhu pamba izvozvo ndozve handitombomaire zvako. It grates me. Like, I feel like things like that, that's where the flexibility needs to come in, because sometimes you cannot wait for the sole responsible person. So wataura zvekuti anosvika zvinhu zvakamirira here is, I don't think it should work like that. I think, yes, there are some things, I get it, but pane zvimwe zvekuti look at the situation and look at what's going on and then adjust accordingly. So, for example, if auntie had to do something or needed information on something, she doesn't do it because vakamira kuti ndidzoke kumba. In manje, because I work odd hours, I get home at 10 p.m. and then I see a message, mama, hatina kuzodai because tanataka kumirira kuti muzoti. Apana vanhu vakuru pamba panapa wekubvunza, there are people you can ask. So things like that for me is where I think roles need to be flexible and whatever. Like, let's do what works to keep the ball rolling.
I think this is where the order would come in. Pekuti, there's some stuff where just for the sake of, to avoid something like that, we should already have like a certain measure in place. Pekuti, when you need something done, just something that can then be that can then bring order without now, because if you leave roles lying around without any delegation, sometimes you will have chaos. Saga, you can't afford to also not have roles lying around asina anyone who's supposed to be in charge of it. So I get those that then plan, you're in charge of this and that and this and that and this and that, to avoid the chaos of no one did it. You coming from work, he's coming from work. There's no bread. I didn't buy the. I thought you were gonna buy it.
Yeah.
And I thought you were gonna do it. Okay, all right. Groceries. Let's plan. Who does what and whatever.
Yeah.
Like I know, like fast the groceries. So much easier when he does it.
Here too.
And it's a small thing, but it's a big thing.
It's huge. Now I love it. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking on that slack because it is not in my body. I don't know how to do it. This is where my issue is because, for example, now, like I explained my father-in-law, now I'm at the stage where I can actually say to him, baba, dai mama tumaininika, manga mchangona ndadzoka nezvamataura zviri kudiwa zvacho. Whereas, mwana wenyu akaenda, anobva aita zvese twamunoda tunonaka twese, anobva azviisa, Before, it would stress me out because I'm like, but I don't know how to do that. It's not me. I don't know how to go into a store and I am literally... Ndapewa at least bread, milk, eggs. That's what I'll come out with. Whereas he'll go and he'll be like, but I noticed that, they like this. Let me do that. Let me, do that. Like, let's use our strengths, right? Like, yes, if I have to do it, I can do it. But if it's a situation where it's not life and death and he can do it, I would appreciate if he does it because he does it so much better.
Yeah.
Right? So I know the pastor that married us, she kept saying, Kuti, she always says this, Kuti, let's put our best foot forward. If he's the one that is going to make an amazing dinner, when we have friends over and he wants to cook, let him cook. I'm not going to go and cook sloppy things because no, we are one unit.
Yeah.
Let's put our best foot forward, whatever that foot is for that situation. Let's do it because you're a team. At the end of the day, you're a team.
Yeah.
Where he's bad, you're bad. Where you're bad, he's bad. Yeah. So let's...
Compliment. I think that's just something that comes from being a responsible adult.
Yeah.
So if you were not adulting before you got married, I feel like this is going to be an issue.
You're so diplomatic.
Because then now, it's like schooling your wife or schooling your husband. And that takes away from a beautiful relationship you could be enjoying if you already came in as an adult. Nobody wants to be going through that kind of unnecessary tension and dynamic. But at the end of the day, do what works for you.
Exactly.
Roles, now there's no like set stuff that goes with this is wifely stuff, this is husband stuff.
Though the church sometimes tries to push that, I think pick and choose what works for you.
How do they?
I remember I went into a marriage council meeting and they were talking about izvinto zvinoitwa namama, izvinto zvinoitwa nababa, and I was thinking, this does not work in my house.
But then if you go back to our previous conversation about generational differences, I bet you these were elders, like really elderly people who said that. Was it someone our generation?
It was a combination.
Okay, so maybe mindset.
There were two. It is definitely mindset. Because also, if you are taught that, you're going to go and do that. Yeah. But now, what people need to realize is all the tension and friction that comes in your household, take a step back and look and see what's causing it.
Yes.
Because it could be these things that you've been taught that you think are stagnant, but can be adjusted and fluid.
Yeah, and should be adjusted because what works for me is not what works for you.
No, definitely
What
not.
my husband's roles are cannot be the one for the next person, and
Exactly.
vice versa.
Exactly.
I mean, I know,
No, it's not going to work.
it's not going to work. So if you take that and then now expect that and want to push that in your marriage, it's not going to work. Even if you go for counseling, even if they tell you kuti chakati. There's generic stuff that kukauya mukanzwa masound panze ndiani anobuda.
Yeah.
But even though sometimes me I'm right behind, but also like
Though it's funny,
checking together.
when I grew up,
yeah.
it would be my mom.
Oh.
Because my mom is fearless. Like, she's just ngantanga like that,
And that's
you know,
cool.
type thing. And it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay.
So this whole, you know.
Now it's the guy who locks up Mumba and stuff.
and
Sometimes I'm the last one.
Diani.
And what mira dot I watch.
Apa muna asurara kudara. No, wake up, it's time to lock the doors. I'm going to bed now.
You're the man. You're the guy. Look, the point is, as we are talking about these roles, and exploring how differently they can be assumed in every marriage or relationship before you get married. At the end of the day, it has to be something that works. It has to be something that's actually comfortable, something that's flexible as well. Hey, and there's no one formula, I guess.
True. And I think to avoid any issues and tension in all this, talk about it. Normalize talking about it.
Yes.
Pick your times. Like, don't wait for him to then now sit and start watching soccer for you to say, so,
I want to talk about this.
What's your stance on money? You know? Like, pick the right time to have these conversations. If you take road trips, that's the best because you're in the car, you've got nothing else. Deep conversations happen very well in a car. And
not on my side.
Really?
He does not want to talk about anything deep. He'd be like, I want to concentrate on the road.
Oh my gosh. In our case, it's so different because it's like, it's easier to talk because there's nothing distracting you. But yeah, I guess, see, like we said,
because if it gets tense, then next thing is like, hey, like we don't have an accident. People are different.
People are different, but talk about it.
Yes.
Communicate, know what your person likes, and then use that to your advantage to grow this beautiful thing that you have.
Yes.
Whether it's still a relationship, whether you're still single or whether you're still married. I was going to say relationship, and then I realized it's a relationship either way. Yeah.
So the roles depend on your personality.
Exactly.
Depend on how open you are, what length you're willing to go to, auntie, when doing something, whatever's required in that season, and also what you know already, what's taught, and what you want.
Exactly.
What kind of marriage, what kind of relationship do you actually want? Because sometimes it requires that extra.
True. Yeah. And then also, Hansi, you must remember, kuti uyu arkuyane 30 years experience from whatever family they were in.
Yeah.
You're coming with your 30 years experience of whatever family you're in, and you're bringing that together. There's bound to be issues.
There is bound to be issues.
And the key thing is to then now create your own values between the two of you, what makes sense for the both of you. So not saying, because now manemba yenu yiri different from what you came from.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. There's a time, initially, I always thought I have to serve my husband his food, I have to whatever. So whenever he's in the kitchen and making something, and I'll run and I'll be like, can I do this for you? Can I do this? And then he just said to me, can I not make my own sandwich in my own house? Am I not free to be in my own kitchen and just do something? And it's like, oh, because I was insisting on this thing, which I thought
was what he wanted.
Is my role to serve, you know, and yet he doesn't even want that.
Yeah,
so
know your person.
Know your person and don't force your way. Because sometimes people know their person, but they will insist, I'm going to change you because this is what I know, this is what I want. And push, and next thing you break your own relationship, and you're going to suffer the consequence of that forcing.
And it can be little things. You know, last year, for example, we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Last year, for example, on his birthday, he likes to bake. I was planning on baking, and he's like, no, I want to bake my own cake. And I was like, okay, you know, the old me would have been like, but it's your birthday. Because I'm a birthday person. I'm such a birthday person. He's not necessarily. So I'm like, but I should be able to do it. I want to make you a cake. It's your birthday. This is my service to you, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, I want to make my own cake. I don't want anything. I want, you know, that's it.
Yeah.
And I had to suppress all those things in me
And
that would
respect what he
make
said.
me do it and respect what he wanted because it's his birthday. It's what he wants.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
It was so hard.
It is hard.
It was so hard. But
But
he
you did a
was
good
happier
thing.
for it. So sometimes we have to actually think what's going to make them happy and not what is comfortable for us.
And what will make me happy and satisfied. I did it.
Yeah,
I did this for him.
exactly, because at the end of the
yet,
day,
it's
was
even
it worth
about
it?
you.
Yeah.
Exactly, and stuff like that. Yeah, so follow us on our social media pages at Untied Talk on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We would love to hear from you,
Yes.
what you think. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm Wazanai.
And I'm Tare.
From us,
To you.
with love.
Bye.
Bye.